But I want to first just share with you the importance of our learning management system. For your learner to really best meet their needs, we need a place for them to go. And so tonight you're going to go into your learning studio, and the facilitator with the learners are going to work with you and show you what a day looks like for your learner. Because I'm guessing some of you are questioning, like, what does a day look like? What really is happening here? And so tonight we're going to show you a brief day and what an hour can look like for your learner. Then you're going to come back out here, and I'm going to show you some tools that you have as parents that will be able to better help you help your learner at home. This is a web-based learning management system, so you can get on it at home on the web, and you as a parent can have a live look into your learner's day, right down to what did they submit today. And so you will be able to have a piece of that, and our hope with this is that it's not so much of you following up with them as much as it's you having a conversation at supper of, hey, what did you do in reading today? I saw that you were covering story elements. Can you talk to me about story elements? Having those conversations with your learner is so powerful because that's what's going to keep them engaged in what they're doing, but also know that you have that buy-in with them. And so we're going to show you some tools tonight in Empower. The learners will start first with what it looks like from their end. Then we'll come back and you'll see it from your end as a parent. And then we'll talk about how things are going to continue to roll. Our goal is to have you out of here at 7:30. So hopefully my first night on the job, I get you out at 7:30. But we're going to get you into the learning studios with your learner. They'll grab their iPads, and then they'll sit with you and walk you through one of their playlists. And that's what we refer to as their journey. So for example, math, we just got done taking some placement assessments, and each learner starts at a different place in their journey. Some will start in measurement topic 1, and some will start in measurement topic 7. Those are all built in, and your learner will start there. From there, they'll work at what they need. They'll get their support from their instructor, so their facilitator will have a coaching session with them, anywhere from once to twice to 3 times a week. And then they'll have support. They'll have games that they'll play with their other learners, just like what they would have done last year in a classroom. And then they'll have things that they need to do to show their mastery, to show their understanding. And that's the way we can help them, because once they start showing that and we see misconceptions, that's when we can intervene and help support them more. And so the learning management system keeps them organized, but it also keeps us organized when you think about it. And we have 94 learners in the program. In place value, we have 11 measurement topics. In those 94 learners, they could be across that whole board. And so when you go into the learning studios, the facilitators will also talk about the math continuum and show you that poster so that you can kind of get a picture of what does this look like. And then when you come back out, we'll talk more.
If you have any questions that don't get answered tonight and we kind of run out of time, please feel free to call or email me or stop in. I'm certainly more than happy to visit with you about Empower. We are still learning ourselves a lot about it, but I will tell you it is a pretty amazing tool, and the kids have picked it up much quicker than we did training all summer with it, so that's always reassuring. But every day to start kind of our learning, whether it's in reading or math, this is their biggest tool, is this Empower. Like Mr. Leip said, it's the online learning management system. So instead of before in the traditional room when they would maybe start math class and the teacher would stand up in front of the room and say, today we're going to talk about this, they actually go to their iPad and they have different pieces that they do each day. But within that, they also are meeting with myself, and this is Miss Sokup. I have a student teacher in here with me. She was with me last year. Student teachers now are placed usually for a year. So she was with me all last year, and then she's with me through December. And so she will also be working with your learners in here and in other studios. But then they have what we call coaching sessions. And that's basically just those small group times where we pull them back and we say, hey, we're going to work on this today. But this is like their mobile kind of textbook, their mobile schedule of their day, what they have to do. So it's not that they're on here playing apps, watching videos, doing those things, but in order for them to know, hey, I need to do this next with my spelling words, the directions are on here. So I don't want to give the misconception that they're always in front of the screen, but so they know what to do during reading, they know what to do during math, I give the directions laid out in here. And once we get into Empower, you'll kind of see it. Learners, let me quick get my airplay on here. Because see, I'm just learning AirPlay too. We got Apple TVs in our room. I want you to find the Practice Makes Perfect playlist. So we have playlists, and the playlist is kind of like the class or the group, what we're going to learn today. And these are 3 that we've done already to just practice using Empower. And so we started off kind of simple with just like a little scavenger hunt. And then we practiced some math and reading. And then we finally told them, okay, practice is going to make perfect. So what they'll do is, and you kind of just show your parents, boys and girls, go ahead and you're going to click on the Practice Makes Perfect. And then this is where their kind of schedule is for the day. So if this were reading, these different pieces are their schedule for the day. So learners, what I want you to do right now is, can you explain to your parents, why do we do the I Learn? What's the purpose for it? Explain that to your parents, please. Hey learners.
Hey what?
Now what I want you to do is, hopefully they gave you a pretty good idea of what we do in the I Learn piece. That is also the time in the I Learn where Miss Sokup and I will be pulling them back to our coaching corners and working with them on whatever it is they are at in their learning, whatever place in their journey. So that map right back here, this is what Mr. Lake was talking about, and we're just learning about this. This is their learning journey for math. So throughout this whole year, these are kind of, we call these measurement topics. They're like the main ideas that kids need to learn in 2nd through 5th grade. And then we break it apart into what we call MTs. So wherever your student took, they took a place value test the other day, and that test is going to show me where their journey is at. What are the things they still need to know about place value? And we talk with the learners about how everybody is in their own journey. And it doesn't matter where you're at, because we're all on the same road. And so this kind of just helps give us a guide of where to start, where do they need help, and then where do we want them to be by the end of the year. So that's kind of our big map that we use in math. Reading is a little different. We don't have a specific map, but that's the one for math. So what I want you to do right now, learners, is I want you to click on the I Learn. So then what they'll do is they'll click on the I Learn, and like they said, this is the piece where they're learning something. So there's always a goal, and that tells them what are they going to be able to do. And then we'll click on the action. Now in here, parents, there is a video, and this is what typically in the I Learn process, I will have uploaded a video either from the internet somewhere, or maybe I've recorded it myself, and kind of just introducing the kids to, hey, this is what we're going to learn about this week. And so this is a video that's actually for you as a parent. Boys and girls, we're going to close out of I Learn, so go ahead and hit that X. And now I want you to do 2 things. You're going to show your parents what we do in iPractice and talk about it with them. And then remember, in the iPractice, there's something you have to do. Usually in the practice, we always talk about that's where the learners have to practice, whatever it is I have taught them. Whether it's a game or an activity, they might have to make a video for me or something. So learners, right now, you're going to go through the iPractice. You're going to show parents how you upload to your locker and do all the steps for iPractice. Okay, go ahead. All right, so hopefully you got your selfie taken. And that's just kind of a small glimpse at something they would do in the iPractice. Now, learner, who can share with the whole group, when you put it in your locker, how do you make sure that Mrs. Falvey gets it? What do you have to remember to do? Like we said, there's that like hand-in tray. And the only way it's in that hand-in tray is if you click something. What is it, Caleb?
The circle.
Yes, the green circle, right? We have to make a green. And so sometimes kids will say like, well, I gave that to you. I don't know where it's at. But we can sometimes go back and look in their Empower and be like, oh, you forgot to click the green circle. And so anything they do take a picture or upload, we do have a finished work folder that we do have them save it for a while until I have graded it and checked it, just so we don't have those lost things or have gone astray. But then if you show them, did you all show your parent to your locker? So this is like a big hand-in tray. To anything that they work on and they have to give to me, it gets stored in their locker. And then the next tab is the feedback. And we talked about with the learners, this is the piece where if I looked at something that they uploaded to me and I noticed they still maybe couldn't add correctly, they were making a mistake. So I could either type back something to them here and say, hey, let's meet in the coaching session. We're still not sure how to add. Or let's say they get done and they say, gosh, I'm still not understanding adding. They can send me a message here too. And we practice that too, like, hey, Mrs. Falvey, how's it going? And then they just post it and it just comes to me. So that feedback portion is really important when we get into it too, because sometimes they don't understand after they practiced it and they do need help. And a lot of times they can identify exactly what it is they need help on. So then they can just type that to me and then I get a message and I say, oh, perfect, let's have a coaching session. And then they come back with me. So learners, let's go to the voice and choice. So I want you to, right now, we kind of told the kids that with voice and choice, eventually they're going to have more options. They're going to have a choice of how they want to show us what they're learning. But in the beginning, when this is all new, we're kind of guiding them and saying, this is what we'd like you to do to show us your learning. So for right now, we're kind of using a poster example. But for this voice and choice, they're going to upload a video to me. So you're going to upload your video, and you actually have your family with you today, so it'll be even cooler when you do this piece. And then they're going to just do that same process. They do their video, and they upload it to me and hand it in. So learners, go ahead and do your video piece to voice and choice. EP?
I see.
All right. If you didn't get finished, that's okay. One thing we always tell the learners is you need to work at your pace, what's best for your learning. So never be worried if someone is already done with their video and they're moving on to the next step, because you're doing what's best for you. And you have to be able to understand and you have to be able to do it. And I'm always much slower than the kids when I'm doing this, and they often tell me what to click. So they're becoming really, really good at it. And then our last piece, and again, this is in math and reading. We use the same language across the board. They learn something, they practice something, they have a voice and a choice, and then we have the I master part. And the I master part is strictly just, I can do this. It's kind of in the traditional room how you would have like a test at the end of a unit. That's the I master piece to it. And it's a way for us to check and say, do they really understand this? And so this isn't always going to be on the iPad. When we first start out, they'll actually be doing more traditional paper pencil, just so they can get used to just the format of everything. But it will change as the year goes on. But in order for them to move across that map that Mr. Lake was talking about, they do have to go through all these steps for each MT, or each number over there, and then always master it at the end. So boys and girls, you can go ahead and do the iMaster and explain what we do in iMaster. EP?
I see.
All right. Well, parents, I know this is a lot of information to soak in, but I kind of was talking to one parent and said we tried to keep it small. Now, obviously, when your learners go through these steps on a day-to-day basis, there is a lot more inside of each of those that is going to help them learn. It's going to help them practice their voice and choice. But when we are just learning about the bones of Empower, we try to just keep it simple and have them do one thing in each step of there. And also, too, another great question was about the pace of it. So in the traditional room, it was typically you learn something, you practice something, and everybody took the test on Thursday. And maybe some kids were ready and maybe some kids weren't. But in EPIC, it's you're going to learn something. You're going to meet with myself, Ms. Sokup, the other facilitators too. We're going to practice it. And then this voice and choice is kind of our check. Are they ready to move on? Are they ready to try to show me their mastery? Because sometimes they might hand something in and then I get this big red flag like, ugh, they're still not getting it. So then I'll go back for that learner and help them at what they're missing. But there might be some learners who whip through this and they're ready to take their mastery in 2 days. And if they're ready, they're ready. So there's not like their test is going to be on this day. It's going to be what they decide, how hard they work, and what they put into it. And I know there's been some questions about homework, per se. And just like everything, we're not calling it homework. It's learning opportunities at home. Isn't that fancy? But there should not, hopefully, be many learning opportunities at home. Because if your learner is using their time here at school, and they are going through these and managing their time, there shouldn't be a lot of things that they have to do at home. Mr. Lape has told them, we want you guys to be kids, and that's important. And your learning can happen here at school. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to do anything at home. So we still want you to read and do things like that. But for the most part, their learning opportunities should be here at school. But if they're feeling behind or maybe they do need to catch up, then they might have to have a learning opportunity at home because maybe they weren't using their time wisely.
Now that you've seen what a student day kind of looks like and how their day is set up in Empower, let's look at how you can help your learner from home and see their progress. So here's an example learner. First, you will need to go to our URL, so it'll be harrisburg.empowerlearning.net. When you get there, you'll use the credentials that you were given at the parent bootcamp, and you should be able to get in. If you have issues, please don't hesitate to email me. But you should be able to get in and see your learners. If you have 2 learners in the program, again, the little drop down arrow will be right here, and you can switch between all of your learners. You may see other learners in here, which would be your son or daughter, and that is because it ties everything back to Infinite Campus. So you might see another one in here of your son or daughter from middle school, but there won't be any data in here because North Middle School hasn't rolled this out yet. That implementation will come next year for them. So you may see their name here, but you won't see any information showing up here because those teachers at North Middle School are not using it. So once we dig into this, you'll see what I call the 5,000 foot view. You will see their courses, and you will see if they're on pace, behind pace, if they're ahead of pace. You'll see all of that. These will change colors based on your learner. So that's the 5,000 foot view. That's step 1. Step 2, if you want to dig in a little bit and see what Intro to Art looks like, you hit the little plus sign here, and it will drop down and show you all the standards that have been assigned or assessed in Intro to Art. Then, if you want to dig down to the 3rd layer, you can see what evidence have they submitted for this standard. So if I click this little drop down, now it shows me an activity and they scored 3, the goal was 4. Well, I wonder what happened here. So you could click into this activity and when it loads, you'll see the goal, you'll see the standard, you'll see what the learner scored, what the goal of the score was. You'll see the action steps. So if there were steps here, again, this is a demo account, so you're not seeing any action steps. You'll see their locker, so you'd see what they submitted, and you'd see if there was any feedback between the teacher and the learner. And so all of these tabs play a role in this activity, and all will share information. So again, the goals, the action steps, that will share with you what were the steps they needed to complete this activity, and the locker. And that is the view of the parent. So I'm going to back out one more time and show you the 5,000 foot view. So I have Intro to Art. I'm on pace, but I'm curious what's going on in there. So I hit the plus sign. It shows me all the standards that have been assigned in this class right now. And I can then narrow down to the third level to find out what evidence have they submitted for this standard. What you're going to find is that as we get further into this, that we can assign standards to different activities. So there might be a social studies activity that is assessing some of their math skills. And so you might see a social studies playlist here that is tying into math. Now this year we're really just focusing math and reading and the structure and the building of that, but in the future, that's our goal, is when learners are in science, science isn't just science. Science entails math, and how does that pull in our math standards? And showing learners that learning happens anywhere, anytime. And so you can then dial right down to the activity if you would like, and that's the final view. Over on the right hand side, you'll see the scoring legend. This is a 4-point scale. Our scale is M, meets standards, P, progressing, N, needs work. And so that's our listing. You can get out to the target browser. So if you go out to the target browser, this will show you all the standards. So I'm just going to pick one. Again, this is just my demo account. And it loads. And it's going to show me, this is based on grade levels. Ours are not set up this way because of the way the standards are. But then you will start to see scores in here. If you see something by AP, that means it's assuming proficient based on a pre-assessment. So this learner took a pre-assessment and it's assuming proficiency on these standards. If you hover over the I, it will tell you what the standard is, so I can count to 30 by ones. I can write numbers from 0 to 10. So if you hover over the I, it will show you what the standard is that we're assessing there. But just so you know, the AP just stands for assuming proficiency based on the pre-assessment, and then if there is a score there, it will be an M, P, or N. It won't be numbers. Again, if you want to get out, you just always hit the X in the right hand corner, and that is the parent view.